Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.
Hi, it's Rita at the Travel Nurse Channel. It's Tuesday, and I'm happy to be here. It's a little late, but I'm here every Tuesday, usually at 10. Now it's closer to 11. So just tune in whenever you want. This is Rita live on Facebook at the moment. Let me open this line up to comments. There we go. And it's late today. I'm sorry it's late today. I was really busy with my granddaughter, and I got her from a not so great place to a better place. She needed to poo. Anyway, and a shout out to my daughter who never watches these videos or rarely watches these videos, but she was born on this day, 5:30 a.m., quite a few years ago, my baby daughter. And so today's her day. And she's getting there. She's getting there with her OT practicums, which to me is like free labor. But she's nearly done with her program. Very exciting. So happy birthday, Alex. Alrighty. So today, I mention this all the time, but I thought I'd delve into it a little bit. I'd lay it out for you. So I came up with 15 fantastic travel jobs for those that like to travel. So this is the Travel Nurse Channel, simply because there are lots and lots and lots of travel nurse opportunities. But there are many other opportunities, and if you love to travel and this is a career you've chosen, or you're considering a career or a switching career, be great for you to know about all these other wonderful areas. So my dry erase boards have to be cleaned. I have like a couple of dozen, and they're all marked up. So I consolidated my 15 travel jobs for those that love to travel onto 3 boards to show you. And then we'll, kind of break it down and talk about each individual. By the way, this is an open line. You can comment. You can get on Facebook right now and send a comment. And you can join me on the broadcast. And when we look at all these careers, if these are careers that you're interested in, that you work in, that maybe you're traveling in right now, your input would be great. I'd love to chat with you. It's easy peasy. It's like Zooming. It's even easier than Zooming, I think. I just send you an email and you check in and we talk together. We can have bunches of people on here at a time. All right, so back to the topic, 15 healthcare jobs. These are all healthcare. I'm sure other people travel, but these are the ones that are needed in healthcare. And top of the list, number 1, nurses. Nurses, yes. Now, transcribers, medical transcribers, we don't talk about very much. Let me go through the list. Nurses, transcribers, therapists, so that's a big group. MDs, locum tenens, and then representatives, sale device representatives. So those are the top 5. I've got 10 more for you. I've got 15 altogether. But let's talk about these guys. Okay, so we know nurses travel. And they generally travel for 13-week assignments, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, depending what the needs are. And that is definitely a huge, huge, huge national, boy, I've been running around, I look messy. Need. It's a need in the United States, in nearly every state and every city. There's a need. I want to stop saying I should have a quarter jar for every time I say that. And then I said it again. They're minimally, you are going to make, if you work regularly as a travel nurse, minimally, you're going to make 70 grand. Okay, easy peasy. Sorry. There are many special contracts. There are many specialties within nursing. The opportunity to go to Alaska and Hawaii and Wisconsin and Minnesota and Florida, Georgia, Alabama, California, New York City, upstate New York. The jobs are tremendous. The experience is wonderful. You get to see places that maybe you wouldn't get to see. A lake you've heard about, a park you've heard about, an event you want to attend, a friend or a family member you want to spend time with. Travel nursing, top of the list, minimum 70 grand, lots of time off. If you're working in an acute setting, 12-hour shifts, you basically have 3 or 4 days to yourself. It's incredible. If it's something you think about, keep thinking about it because it is there for you. Now, transcribers, medical transcribers, they are so necessary because if it isn't written, it didn't get done. Every doctor, I know I worked in a department with lots of radiologists and we needed the transcriber big time, and the transcriber needed the doctor to weigh in and do his part and audio video it, not video it, but oh my goodness, with my so sorry, it's a bad talking habit. The doctors need to, if they do a procedure, if they read a picture, if they, any of the work they do has to be documented. They can't meet the letter of the law without the medical transcriber. And actually, when I worked in interventional radiology and the cardiac cath lab, our radiologists were busy all day long. Some were doing procedures, many were reading pictures, CAT scans, MRIs, you name it, x-rays, fluoroscopy. They were using all those wonderful, they're like almost, I don't want to say the brain, but the nervous system of the hospital. They work with the other physicians, the orthopedists, the cardiologists, the family practice internist, OB, everybody needed them. They needed the ultrasound deciphered. They needed the CAT scan deciphered. They needed, I mean, of course the doctors are reading pictures, but the radiologists are really breaking it down and giving them the details of what they see in every picture. Every shadow, every light, every spot, node, you name it. The radiologist, the radiologist and the interventional radiologist have a lot of charting to do. So they're taping it and they need that transcriber. I worked in this department for quite some time, for several years, with awesome team members, with talented doctors, nurses, technologists, ultrasound techs, you name it, and transcribers. And there was a couple, a wonderful couple, that I believe eventually came on staff at this hospital in Southern California. But she was a medical transcriber, and her husband was, I think he was a special CAT scan tech. He was a technologist in CAT scans. Maybe he did other things, ultrasounds and so forth. But they were a winning team because they got to travel. They were a married couple. They'd been married for at a young age for a long time. And this is a great way for them to get out and about. And it worked out great for her husband because he liked to golf in his time off. It worked out great for her because she was in an environment with a lot of other females to make friends with. She was super friendly. California sun, you name it. It was a great time for them. And I do believe when their travel assignment with us ended, they went somewhere else. They came back and eventually went on staff. So not only was it a great job opportunity, but it was a life opportunity to make a move to Southern California. Okay, the next one I wrote down is therapist. And we talk about therapists a lot. There are many therapists. There's the physical therapist, the occupational therapist, the speech pathologist. There's it's so hard for me to get rid of that pause. My grandmother spoke mostly Italian, and she always used a pause. It was ma. While she was thinking, she'd say something about my father or her husband or the kids. And then she would pause and she would say, Ma. And for years, it stood out, and I heard that a lot, and I kept saying, Grandma, or Noni. I called her Noni. What do you mean, Ma? What do you mean, Ma? And she didn't know what I was talking about. It's just but. It's just a pause. Your father and your mother, Ma, they were doing this. They upset me, whatever. So she used Ma, and I'm using So please excuse me. I'm going to work on that. Back to therapists. Therapists are part of the healthcare team. I'm working with therapists right now because they have an injured hip. They have, when you're 17, they call it a stress fracture. When you're my age, which is 67, they call it an insufficiency fracture. Same kind of animal, different kind of recovery because of the years. And because I have arthritis, I have it different places in my body, and some perfect storm occurred. My age, my osteo, my being on my feet for years and years and years, and not an athlete, but active. And the pain wasn't going away. Turns out it was a fracture. So I'm working with a physical therapist and an occupational therapist. They actually happen to live here, but one is from Pennsylvania and one is from Canada. And they didn't travel, but they did travel to work in this area. But there are many, many, many travel opportunities for therapists and many other therapists that I'm not mentioning, the respiratory therapist and the ultrasound techs and the PTA, which is the physical therapy assistant, the CODA, which is the certified occupational therapy assistant. So many, many, many therapists can travel, can experience the joy of traveling. There's a comment here. There is a vaccine crisis, and many nurses who have been working may be dismissed by refusing vaccine, but it may not end well. It's anonymous. I don't know where that's coming from. However, to my knowledge right now, if you are fully vaccinated, you are, whether you're a nurse, a transcriber, a therapist, we're going to get to the next two, which are the MDs and the reps. You can travel fully vaccinated without this third one. The third one is in the works. I don't think we have enough of it in our country. They don't even have enough of the first one in other countries. Sorry for the However, some companies, some schools, some hospitals, whoever, it is their choice to decide who to employ, whether it's temporary employment as a traveler or full-time employment to the employees they already have, or they're choosing, recruiting new travelers. It is an employer's choice to do what they deem fit based on the information they have coming from their local government, which would be their governor. And if they reason that their environment requires vaccinations, and the third vaccine is becoming more of the booster, basically. It's a booster. We did the first shot, and then we got our second shot. So unless you got the Johnson & Johnson, few people got the Johnson & Johnson. It's a one-shot COVID vaccine. But the folks that got the Pfizer and the Moderna are very well covered for COVID. Doesn't mean you won't get it, but probably means you won't die. My brother was fully vaccinated and contracted the COVID and felt fine, just had to isolate from his family. One of his 3 daughters got it, and she was not vaccinated because she was too young to get the vaccine. She was under 10, I believe, and 10 or 11. And she was more symptomatic, but she did well. They isolated and got through it. And as far as I know, there are no side effects. She's such a bright, bright little girl. And she's a super, super soccer star and a musician and a singer. She is a fabulous little girl. They survived the COVID with the vaccine and so forth. Healthcare workers are much more at risk. And I'm thinking they are next on the list for the booster. after the people that are immune compromised, and with the understanding that it's available in whatever community they are in, whether they are traveling or not traveling. So those are questions to ask travelers when you're heading to an assignment. If you have not gotten the COVID booster, what is the recommendation? What is the regulation? And will they provide for you? Because although you should be treated as, oh, there's my again. When you travel, you are looped into staff. You are treated as staff. The expectation, your work is as a staff member, but you're not exactly 100% employed by the facility. You're employed by a travel company. So you may or may not be able to get vaccinated at the hospital you're traveling to, at the facility you're traveling to, at the home, whatever company, clinic, etc. that you're working for. So ask these questions of your recruiter. More than likely, if you're far from home, your home, say, is on the East Coast, you're traveling to the West Coast, there may be community availability of the vaccine. So as soon as it's available, I will get it. I think it's wise to get boosters. I have been, since nursing school, I'm not drawn to take medicine. I treat medicine very, very prudently. I treat it like surgery. The body's meant to rest when it needs to heal, and drinking lots of water, getting good rest, all of those things, that sort of self-care stuff. I do that first. Gargle with salt, all kinds of goofy things. I take jillions of supplements. At my age, I need all the help I can get. But medicine, I treat with reverence and prudently. And when it's necessary, absolutely, medicine is great. Surgery is great. When it's necessary, it's great. But because I worked with lots of patients, I worked clinically most of my career from the 70s, even to date, I see patients. Excuse me. It is important to be vaccinated because you help no one if you don't help yourself. So the booster, as soon as it's available, I recommend it. Anonymous, whoever you are, I hope you don't get dismissed from your work. Knowledge is power. Find out before you travel. Okay, so now let's go to number 4. MDs, the locum tenens. The locum tenens work a little bit differently, but they do travel around the country. And the locum tenens assignments, let me read to you a little bit from this career blog. If you're a medical student, practicing physician, this is for you, okay? Locum tenens is a Latin phrase meaning to hold the place of, to substitute for. So say there's an ER need. There are big ER needs. There are big ICU needs. There are big, what do they call them now? The hospitalist, right? The intensivist. ER, ICU, hospital care, nursing homes, etc. Medical students, residents, practicing physicians, this one's for you for sure. When a physician, they're just human beings too, guess what? There could be one out there with me that has a fractured stress fracture and they have to rest, but they don't want to stop doing what they're doing, but they have to take whatever it takes, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, as long as it takes to heal, and they can't be on their feet nonstop without crutches or walkers and so forth. The hospital needs to fill that position. And particularly during the peak seasons, particularly during a pandemic, so that's when they bring in a locum tenens. And a locum tenens, Latin phrase for to hold the place of, that will fill that position. And a variety of reasons, including practicing physicians would take this. In some cases during COVID, oh gosh, I'm sorry for my pauses. During COVID, physicians that were still waiting on their license during their residency, potentially still students, were able to get in and work in some of these locum tenens positions. So placements can last for days to months to years. And I know in the ER, I have seen locum tenens doctors for years in the same hospital. So sorry for the ums. They may There may be stipulations in that contract to take a break every 6 months or every year or travel back. They have days off. They can go to their home, but great job opportunity. Gets pretty darn cold in Canada and Minnesota and some of the northeastern states, and coming to Hawaii or Southern California or Florida, Alabama, Georgia could be really nice. Experience that, travel there, make great money, extra income, actually, all those travel opportunities, locum tenens. So MD, locum tenens. I think that's number 4. And number 5, I wanted to talk a little bit about representatives, sales device representatives. You could travel too. And if you love to travel, lucky you with that job. When I worked in interventional radiology and the cardiac cath lab, we were working with machinery, devices, new bandages, new tubes, new needles, new additions as to our, say, a fluoroscopy setup or a CAT scan setup had a new addition. They made it, they improved it. Pardon me?
You have a therapist here.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm going to sign off then. Folks, I am so sorry. My schedule is off. I'm going to continue this tomorrow. And we got to the first 5 jobs for those that like to travel. Tune in tomorrow, and I'll give you the next 10. Thank you so much. So sorry. I'll sign off with my wonderful nurse in a sidecar and finish this up tomorrow because there's so much to say, and I don't want to promise something I can't deliver. Take care. Call me. Join the broadcast. You have a lot to share.
Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.